So we're going to talk about 7.3. That is your homework. Question 19 is very good. This is in your 2019. Yep, same thing. 20 is a better one. So 12 sine square x minus 13 sine x plus 3 equals to 0. Now, a lot of students ask me questions that something that you guys should know already is, when do we use plus 2n pi or plus n pi, and when we do not use it? Do you know the difference, Ryan and Parker? Because I got like multiple people asking me, I think question 7 or something like that. Because when they say watch it, the videos is given the answer in this form, but when they type in, it's wrong. So like question number 19, which form do they want? The one with the 2n pi or the one without the 2n pi?
Without it.
How do you know that, Parker?
It says 0 to 2 pi, so it's
very good.
Doesn't include that.
So this is what you guys need to know is, if a question is asking for the interval between 0 to 2 pi, you do not need to use the 2n pi or whatever you do 2 pi. So you have to put it in that form. But if the question like number 18 or number 20, they don't say anything about the interval 0 to 2 pi, then you use the 2n pi. So make sure you guys know this is very important, because in the test, I also will ask you one question is going to be in 0 to 2 pi. And then the other question is going to be in the 2n pi one. We call it the general form. Okay. So before we continue with this, we just need to get rid of that other thing. So make sure we need to factor this question out. We need to factor this question out. So so how do we do this one? 12x squared minus 13x plus 3 equals to 0. Can we factor this one out? So if you know how to factor this, then you should know how to factor this one. So Parker, Ryan, you want to try to factor this one? Can you guys tell me what times what is 2x squared? And 3 is easy, it's 1 and 3. And because it's a plus and a minus, so we know this 2 must be minus. Now my question is, what times what is 12x squared? 12. What times what is? So definitely have x on it, because x times x squared.
12 and 1.
So we do 1 and 12. Now, we don't do 1 and 12 like this. The reason why is because this one has a GCF, and we know this one has no GCF. So you cannot use 1 and 12, but you can switch it to become 12 and 1. So when you FOIL this, you get negative 36x minus 1x. Unfortunately, you didn't get 13x. You get 37x negative. So 1 and 12 does not work here.
So is it 6 and 2?
So we try 6x minus 1 and 2x minus 3. So 6x times negative 3 is negative 18x. Negative 2x. So again, does not give us negative 13. And we cannot switch this to 2 and 6. The reason why is because 6 and 3 has a GCF. So 1, 12 doesn't work, 6, 2 doesn't work. That's another pair. We use 3 and 4. Again, we cannot put 4 and 3 because if you put 4 and 3, 3 and 3 has a GCF. So 3x times negative 3 is negative 9x. And 1 times negative 4 is negative 4x. So that means this works because this is negative 13. So what is the factor for this one? Now we talk about sign. This is the correct one. So this will be what? 3 sine x minus 1 and 4 sine x minus 3. And then what you need to do next in this case is you have to make each one of this equals to 0. And you have to solve for x here. So in this case, sine x in this case is 1/3. And the other one is sine x in this case is 3/4. So like solving equation. And then after that, you have to move your sign over. So this will be arc sine. And then this is also arc sine. Now, 1/3 and 3/4 are not what we call as a special exact value. Because for exact value should be one side, the arc sine of 1/2, the arc sine of √3/2, or √2/2. These are all the special values that will give you 30 degrees, for 60 degrees, and 45 degrees. This is what you will get for this special one. But this is 1/3 and 3/4. So you actually have to use a calculator to figure out. And that's the reason why when you look at this question number 19 here, they want your answer in 4 decimal place. So once you see that comes out, so usually they don't ask you for that. If you look at all these things, they don't ask you for your answer in 4 decimal place. They just ask you in radians. This one, they ask you for answer in 4 decimal place, means that you have to use a calculator. So so you have to use you have to be in 4 decimal places here. So when you use your calculator, first thing you need to know here is because they are in radian form, so you have to change this into radian form. So if you have it in a degree form, you get it wrong. And then you have to do the arc sine of 1/3. 1/3, 1/3. And then you have to do the arc sine of it. That will give me 0.3398. That is in 1 decimal places. But this is something you guys have to pay attention. This is in quadrant 1. Sine is also positive in quadrant what?
2.
2, yes. So how do you figure out quadrant 2 for this 0.3398 radian? So this is
Negative arc sine?
No. So quadrant 2 is here, right? So how do you figure out this angle? Where this is still 0.3398 because they are the same. And you know, from here to here, from one end to the other end is what? Is pi. So in order for us to figure out what is this angle, you have to take pi minus 0.3398. So this is how you figure out your quadrant 2. So every time when you want to figure out, your calculator will give you quadrant 1. If you want to find quadrant 2, you have to take pi minus that number. If you want to find quadrant 3, you have to take pi plus that number. And if you want to figure out quadrant 4, it's going to be 2 pi minus that number, because it'll be the whole thing, 2 pi minus that. So if you take pi minus this, minus pi, where's my pi symbol? There you go. You will get positive. This is so this will be 2.8018. So this is your answer for question number 19. Only part of it, because this is only for 1/3. Now I want you guys to try to do the 3/4 one. You have to use your calculator. You have to figure out the quadrant 1 and the quadrant 2. Someone just come. Why they all come in and left? I got a student just come in. Why the student left? I don't know what happens. Ryan Parker, try this one. So only this question number 19 that requires you to use your you do not need to use a quadratic formula. I think you can factor it. -9. Yeah, you can factor this. Yeah, I know why it calls you use quadratic formula. Factor it will be quicker. Yeah, I know. There you go, Emily's. Emily, you got it? Emily? So what is outside of 3/4? Hello?
0.8481, I think.
0.8481. And how do you figure out the quadrant 2 answers?
Pi, you put pi minus, and it should be 2.2935.
So minus pi here. 2.2935. So now put all this in here. So you have 4 answers in this case. Can you I don't have, I'm lazy to go back. 0.03395. What else? 28018, right? Can someone recite that for me?
2.8018.
Then the other one is
0.8481. And then 2.2935.
Thank you. So so this is how you figure out this question number 19, where you have to use your calculator to figure out your work. So again, how do we know this? Is because the question is asking us for 4 decimal places. So it's very obvious. Then you use your you have to use your calculator. This question is not going to come up in your test, because mostly I do not want you to use this. That means that in your test, your answer is either 30 degrees, 60 degrees, or 45 degrees, or it can be 0 or 90 degrees. So it means that you won't get anything like these weird ones. Okay. Ryan, are you okay there? Yep. So this won't be in your final, so make sure you guys do that. Do you guys know how to do question number? Emily, you have any questions for me in 7.3?
Hi, Mr. Liu. I'm a bit confused on how to input my answers. Like,
For which one?
like for number 6, I don't know how to, like,
What answers do you get for number 6?
I got 2 pi over 3 and 4 pi over 3.
This question, okay. Emily, you have to know this. This is very important. Do you see the question 6? This is the question asking you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And look at question 8. This is the question asking you, right?
Yeah.
What is the difference between 6 and 8?
Number 8 has an interval.
That means your answer has to be from 0 to 2 pi. So that means you will get answer like what you just told me, like pi over 3 and all these things. But for number 6, do you see anything from interval from 0 to 2 pi?
No.
So you have to put this in plus n pi and plus 2n pi.
Okay.
So for the one we just did, and it asked for just solving the equation, would we have done all 4 of those answers in plus 2 pi? 2n pi?
2n pi. Yep, 2n pi.
Not just n pi?
No, because it's a cosine, right?
It was a sine.
Sine, yeah, sine, cosine. Don't forget, sine and cosine, secant and cosecant, they're all plus 2n pi.
And then tan and
The only time
cotangent.
that you do n pi is tangent and cotangent.
Okay.
Yep. So for number 6, Emily, so you got, this is my question. It's different from yours. 15 cosine x plus 8 equals to negative cosine x. So how do we do questions, my number 6? And this is not from 0 to 2 pi.
Mm-hmm.
That means that your answer should have plus minus 2n pi.
Okay.
So that's how you figure out which one you need to do. So how did we solve question number 6?
You add the negative cosine x to the left-hand side.
So you get
You get 16 cosine x.
and then you move the 8 over there. So it become what?
Negative 8.
Now you need to solve for x. So which one should we do first to get rid of? 16 or cosine?
You should get rid of the 16.
How?
By dividing both sides by 16.
Very good. So what is that? Is negative.
Cosine x is negative 1/2.
Very good. And then how do we get rid of the cosine? When you move the cosine, become the inverse, right?
Yeah.
The arc, you call it. So this is, so can you tell me what quadrant cosine is negative?
It's negative in quadrant 2, right?
And also?
3.
Very good. Cosine what angle give us 1/2? Your answer is either pi over 3, pi over 4, or pi over 6.
Isn't it pi over 3?
Yes, very good. But pi over 3 is in quadrant 1. So what is pi over 3 in quadrant 2?
Is it I don't know.
Oh, you just increase, this is 1, right? So this will be 2 pi over 3.
Okay.
This is no longer, it cannot be 3 because 3 and 3 can be reduced. So this will be what? 4. That's in quadrant 3. And if I want it to be quadrant 4, you want to take a guess what that is? 1.
Is it 5?
Yes. But we don't talk about this. So this is your answer. But however, because if the question is asking from the domain 0 to 2 pi, then yes, you give me this answer. But since this doesn't ask for that, so you have to add 2n pi. So this is your answer for question 6. Got it, Emily?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So make sure you read the question carefully, because sometimes I think one of the questions when you watch it, I think this one. So on number 8, when you watch question 8, the answer is given to you in, if you look at this, the answer is given to you in n pi, right? 2n pi form. But if you look at question 8, the question asks you for what form? 0 to 2 pi. Yep. So what happened is, if you, let's say you get this, let's say this is the answer that you get. Let's say you get pi over 3 plus n. So let's say your answer is this, and 2 pi over 3 plus n pi. So this is your answer that you get when you try to watch this video and you get this. And yes, if you plug this into here, they will mark you wrong on question number 8. The reason why is because the answer they ask you is from 0 to 2 pi. So how do you get the answer from 0 to 2 pi if you get this this form? It's very easy. You just substitute n becomes 0, 1, 2, and 3, and so on, till this fraction is between 0 and 2 pi. So the first thing we're going to plug here is n is 0. When n is 0, you get pi over 3 and 2 pi over 3. And yes, these two angles are in between 0 to 2 pi. But what happens when you plug n is 1? When you plug n is 1, so it's pi over 3 plus pi, right? Pi over 3 plus pi this is 4 pi over 3. And yes, 4 pi over 3 is in between 0 to 2 pi. 2 pi in this case is the same thing as 6 pi over 3. And then you plug 1 here. So this will become 5 pi over 3. So these are still inside this domain, this interval. But what happens when you plug n is 2? You know that this is already more than what? 2 pi, because you get pi over 3 plus 2 pi. So this one is no good. 3 is no good. So that means this is your answer. So when you get, so if you get yourself what we call as a general solution, the n pi, and if you want to figure out how you go back to 0 to 2 pi, you just substitute n becomes 0, n become 1, n become 2, n become 3, so on, so on, so on, until your answer is no longer inside this domain or inside this interval. In this case, 2 is no good. 0 and 1 is the one that you put in. You guys okay here? So this is what happens. A lot of students ask me when they do question 8 because they watched the video and they got this answer. It's correct if the question is asking for general solution or without the interval. All right. So this is 7.3. You guys have any more questions for me on 7.3?
Nope.
Okay. So we're gonna continue with 7.4 because these are the two homeworks you do. 7.4, make sure you know the formulas for the sum and difference. So these are the formulas for sum and difference. There are 6 of them, actually 3. One for sine, one for cosine, one for tangent. Make sure you utilize this a lot because it used quite a bit here. So does anyone know how to, any questions you have for me in this section 7.4? Anyone? It's time for you to ask questions. If you have any questions, just ask me and I'll help you. All right, 26. The question is, again, it has to be from 0 to 2 pi. Also, I want to point out to you that If you look at this interval to 0 to pi, can your answer be 0? Can you have 0 as your answer? Yes. Can you have 2 pi as your answer? It will be no.
No.
So make sure, and 0 and 2 pi are the same thing because 0 and 360, they are the same thing. So that's why when you look at this, the 0 is included, 2 pi is not included. So if your answer is 2 pi, you cannot have it. Okay. Just want to point out to you guys so you know what you did. So you have to solve this equation. You're solving, not proving, you're solving. So make sure again, watch carefully. This is solve, this is prove. So there are two different steps, two different things. If I want you to prove, don't solve. If I want you to solve, don't prove. Otherwise, you get everything wrong. Okay. So we can use this. We can use the sum and difference. So what is cosine A plus B is? This is this formula, the sum formula. Cosine A plus B is a formula you need to know. Anyone know what's the formula for cosine A plus B? Hello. Yep, cos, sine. Yes, no plus. So the cosine in this case is cos A or cos U, cos B, this two angle. And then the sign has to be switched. If this is a plus, it becomes minus. If this is a minus, it becomes plus. So make sure you switch your sign. And then sine A and sine B. You are correct in this case, right? So make sure you switch your sign here, otherwise you get it wrong. So how do we, this is your A and this is your B, or your U and your B, up to you what you're going to use. So in this case, this is cosine X, cosine pi, because it's cos. Plus become minus, sine X, sine pi. And then I just rewrite the rest of it, minus cosine X minus √2 equals to, this is just rewrite. Now you need to tell me what is cosine pi is and what is sine pi is. And if you doesn't know, we use the unit circle approach. Where is pi? Pi is located right here, right? This is pi. What is the coordinates for this when you look at your unit circle approach? This coordinates is -1, 0. Because your radius is 1 in this case. So cosine, is it X or Y?
X.
It's
yep.
X, right?
Yep, and sine is your Y. So what is the X value in this case?
Pi.
No. This is X, this is Y. What's the X
On the
value?
unit circle?
Yeah, unit circle.
-1, right?
-1, yep. So what is cosine pi is? -1. And what is sine pi?
0.
0. Yes. Yep, you're correct. Yep. So anything multiplied by 0, this one is bye-bye. Because sine X times 0 is 0. And what is cosine X times -1? You will get negative cosine X, right? And then you have another negative cosine X. So how many negative cosine X do we have? We got -2. Yep. And then we have a -2 equals to 0. So now what you need to do next is solve for X. And how do we solve for X? Is first we move the √2 over. So the -√2 become positive √2. And then I divide everything here with -2. And then I move the cosine over. So this is become arc cosine of -√2 over 2. Can someone tell me, is this gonna be pi over 3, pi over 4, or pi over 6? Root 2 over 2 for cosine. What angle
Pi
for
over
cosine?
4.
45 degrees, right? Pi over 4. But again, you need to watch your quadrant. What quadrant is negative for cosine? We just did just now with Emily's question. Quadrant what?
4.
2 and 4. 2 and 3, right? 2 and
Yeah.
3. Because that would be negative for him. So what is quadrant 2 and quadrant 3 for pi over 4? So remember, Emily, last time I told you, you just increase your power number here, right? So if it's 2, it's no good because 2 can reduce by 4. So this will be what? 3 pi over 4. And then for quadrant 3, you cannot be 4 because 4 and 4 can be erased. Can be simplified. So it will be what? 5 pi over 4. So this answer for question number 26, your answer will be 3 pi over 4 and 5 pi over 4. 3 pi over 4 and 5 pi over 4. Ryan, you okay here? Ryan? Yep. So make sure you guys use the formula. And I think, Ryan, the reason why you get wrong because I think you use the wrong formula. And if you use the wrong formula, everything is going to be wrong. So be careful with that. Anyone have any more questions for me in in this one? I'm going to do one question because this is going to be in your finals. So that's why, yeah, you use plus. I think so. That's why you get it wrong. So make sure you use the correct one. I'm going to do one question. This is going to be on question, either one of these 21, 22, 23. I'm going to do 22. Okay, because it's going to be in the final, so that's why I do it. It says that find the exact value for cosine u plus v, where sine u in this case is negative 3 over 5, and this is given us between 3 pi over 2 to 2 pi for u. And then then also they give you cosine v is equals to 15 over 17. So this is u. And v in this case is given us in the domain of 0 to pi over 2. Because this is in your finals, that's why I'm doing this. And question 22 is asking us to find what is cotangent u plus v. So does anyone know how to do this? This is difficult. So the first thing I want to point out to you is to figure out what quadrant is this u belongs to and what quadrant is this v belongs to. So if I go from 0 to pi over 2, 0 to pi over 2 means it's go from here to here, means we know this is in quadrant 1. So the triangle for quadrant 1 looks something like this. This is v. Okay. What quadrant is 3 pi over 2 to 2 pi?
4.
4, yes. Quadrant 4, this is 3 pi over 2 to 2 pi. So the triangle that you're using for this will look something like this. And this is u. And you have to use your SOHCAHTOA to figure out this triangle. So when you have sine, sine is what? What over what? SOHCAHTOA.
Opposite over hypotenuse.
So it will be negative 3 is the opposite, and hypotenuse is 5, right? What is your adjacent? Anyone knows your triplets? 3, what, and 4? 3 triplets. 3.
4.
You know this. 3, 4, 5, right? So this is 4 here. And if you doesn't know your triplets, you have to use your Pythagorean theorem to figure that one out. So this is how you figure out U. Next, we figure out V. So V, we have cosine V here, and cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So this is 15 and 17. And there is also another triplets here, something 15 and 17. If you want, I forgot the triplet too. There's a lot of triplets. So 17 square is gonna be 289 minus 15 square is gonna be 225. So that will give me 64. So what is the square of 64?
8.
8. So it's 8, 15, and 17. So if you know your triplets, 8, 15, 17. Otherwise, you have to use a Pythagorean theorem. So once you get into here, we do not have the cotangent. We only got sine, cosine, and tangent. So what you need to find here is tangent first. And once you get your answer, you just flip it for your cotangent. So what is the formula for tangent U plus V? This is tangent U plus tangent V, 1 minus tan U tan V. This is the formula that you use for this. And what happens if this is a minus? Then all your sign will be switched in the middle. Okay, like conjugate. So this is what happens, but we're not doing the minus sign, we're doing the plus sign here because the question is asking for plus. And now you have to figure out what is tangent U. Tangent U come from here. So what is SOHCAHTOA? Tangent, right? Tangent is what over what? Opposite over by adjacent. So -3 over 4. And then tangent V, you have to look at this. It is, oh, this is wrong. It's not 8. This is right, sorry. It's up 8 over 15. And then 1 minus tangent U, which is this one you just find out, -3 over 4. And then tangent V is 8 over 15. So this, they all come from this triangle. That's why you have to use a SOHCAHTOA to do it. And now take out your calculator and add some fractions and multiply some fractions here. So what is -3 over 4 plus 815? You got your calculator. Do you guys know how to use your calculator for fractions? You use your ABC symbol. It looks something like this when you type in there. So make sure you know how to use your calculator to do all this icky fraction work. So -3 over 4 plus 8 over 15. So that will give me -13 over 60, all using calculator. This one, you do the same thing. 1 minus parentheses -3 over 4 time, close the parentheses, times with 8 over 15, open your parentheses. It looks exactly like what you have in your in here. So make sure you use your calculator to do this. And this is 7 over 5. So all this is calculator work. And make sure you use your ABC to do it. Now we divide. So when you divide this, you just take this divided by that. You can use your calculator, but make sure you put your parentheses. So parentheses -13 ABC 60. And then you hit the division button and then open your parentheses, 7 over 5, ABC 5. You will get -13 over 84. And this is not your answer because your answer is asking for cotangent. What you found is a tangent. So what you do with this is you flip it. So your answer in this case is negative 84 over 13. So this is how we do question number 22, negative 84 over by 13. You don't like, where's my fractions? Oh, no fraction. Guys have any questions? Yep, Ryan is correct. Yep, you just then you make sure you flip it. A lot of students in the finals, they forget to flip it, and that's why they lose half a point on it. Okay. You guys good with this? It's in your test, so make sure you guys practice on this one. It's quite difficult. All right, the last, so this is, anyone have any questions 7.4 before I continue with 7.5, which is your homework for this week. Okay. So I'm going to show you the formula that you need to know for 7.5 because it is a lot of formulas here. So let's talk about 7.5. Where was my day? 7.5. It's going to be, nope. All right, so 7.5. I don't know, you guys refer to my notes in detail, but make sure you do it. So this is the 7.4, the one we just talked about, the sum and the difference formula. Make sure you guys know them very well. And again, in the test, we only concentrate on 30, 45, 60, or pi over 3, pi over 6, pi over 4, and pi over 3. So what we're going to talk about here is 7.5. 7.5, you will have a lot of formulas. One is called the double angle formula. The double angle formula is where your angles is in double. Okay. Where is this formula, double angle formula, came from? It came from your sum and difference, the one that you did in 7.4. So remember just now when we do cosine A plus B is cos A cos B minus sine A and sine B. So what happens when you have a double angle formula? It means you got cos 2A, 2U, the same thing. This is the same thing as cos A plus A. Because you will get cos A plus A. Then we can use the formula that you learned in 7.4. This will be cos A times cos A minus, don't forget Ryan, it's a plus here, so you have to minus it, sine A times sine A. So cos A times cos A, you will get cosine square A. Sine A times sine A, you get sine square A. That's why you will get this form, the first formula. And then this cosine 2A has special. There are 3 of them. So how did we get from this to the other 2? It's very easy. We use the Pythagorean identity. We know that sine square plus cosine square equals to 1. So if I want the middle one here, the 2 cosine square, that means I want to get rid of sine because this is all in terms of cosine. So what do I do is I will use Pythagorean theorem for that. So I move that cosine square over. So what is sine square? Sine square is 1 minus cosine square. So this is actually cosine square A minus parentheses, don't forget that, 1 minus cosine square A. And when you distribute your negative, you find out that this cosine square A is going to be positive. So that's why you will have 2 cosine square A minus 1. So that's how you get this middle one. And then if you want to get the last one, we just need to replace the cosine A using Pythagorean, because cosine square is 1 minus sine square. So you can also do 1 minus sine square A minus sine square A. So in this case, you will get 1 minus 2 sine square A. So you get this last formula. So this cosine 2A or cosine 2U is called a double angle formula, and you got 3 choices. They're all the same. So which one you pick is up to you. If you want everything in terms of sine and cosine, you use the first formula. But if you want everything in terms of just only cosine, you use the middle one. And if you want everything in just only sine, you use the third one. And like Pythagorean theorem, you always move things around. You can move the sine over, you can move the cosine, you can move the 1 over. Same thing happens here. So that means that when you have cosine 2A is equals to 1 minus 2 sine square A, I can solve for sine A here. And how do I solve for sine A? I move this one over. So I got cosine 2A minus 1. And then I divide this by -2, and then I take the square root of it. So this is how the power reducing formula came from. Okay, so the power reducing formula actually comes from your formula here. Okay, that's why I just did it over here. So that means that instead of taking the square root, so that's why you see the sine 2A is 1 minus cosine 2A. What I did here is I moved the negative up here. So that's why I got 1 minus cosine 2A over 2 equals to sine square A. So that's why you get these two formulas from using your power reducing. Same thing happens to sine 2u, tangent 2u. And then for this tangent 2u, what I did is to get this formula, I just take this 2 and divide, because tangent is sine over cosine. So if you divide these 2 out, the 2 will cancel. And then you will get 1 minus cosine 2u over by 1 plus cosine. So if you divide these 2, you will get the tangent square u. So this is how we get this. So now I want to point out to you why they call it this way. This is when you want to find a double angle. That means you take an angle and you want to double it. This is what you do. Why we call this power reducing? Power reducing means if you got a power 2, if you want to reduce your power 2 to become power 1, then we use this formula. Okay. So this is called a double angle and power reducing formula. I also want to point out to you guys about this double angle. This double angle formula that we have, for example, the sine 2u is 2 sine u cosine u. You can also use this for even angle formula. What is happening to even angle formula is, if this is 2u, you get sine u cosine u. If you change this 2 to become 4 even, then you will get 2 sine 2u cosine 2u. So what happens in this case, that if you want to make this as 4, which is you double this will be also double. And if you want to make it as 6u, then you will get 3u and 3u. You guys with me here? You guys got what I'm saying? And same thing happens to cosine and tangent. So if I want you to figure out what is cosine 6u, you can pick one of these. So if I want to pick this one, then I'll become cosine square 3u minus sine square 3u. So if this is 6, then this will be 3. If this is 8, this will be 4. So this double angle formula is also work for even angle formula. You got what I'm trying to say? So now my question is, even we got it because we got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and we can use this formula. But what happens to the odd one? This is very important because in the calculus, you need this. So, so now how do we figure out sine 3u? So pay attention here. So because 2, we can use 4, 6, we can use the formula. 3, 5, 7, this is odd. We cannot use the formula anymore. So you actually has to use your addition formula. So sine 3u is actually sine 2u plus u. Do you guys remember what is the addition formula for sine that you did in 7.4? Sine, what is sine A plus B? Yes.
It's sine A times cosine B plus
Very good.
cosine A times sine B.
Very good. You switch around. So sine A, which is 2u, times cosine B, which is cosine u, plus they use the same symbol. Sine, we use the same symbol. Cosine, we switch the symbol. And then you switch these two around. So sine 2u become cosine 2u. And then cosine u becomes sine u. Now, we're not done yet. So what we do here is this sine 2u, we can use this formula. But don't forget, you multiply cosine u in there. So what we have in this case is 2 sine u cosine square u. Where is the square from? Because the cosine times cosine here will give you cosine. And then this cosine 2u that we have, we can use this formula. But this formula, as you know, that got 3 choices, right? You can either use this, you can use this, or you can use this. You got 3 choices that you have. So what we're gonna do here is, because they are all, I start with sine, I want everything in terms of sine. So that means that I'm not picking this because you have both. I'm not picking that because this is in terms of cosine. So I'm going to use him. So this cosine 2u will be replaced by him. So what do I have in this case is 1 minus 2 sine square u times sine u. Now, if you look at this whole equations that we have, you find out everything is in terms of sine except for this. So we can change that into sine using the Pythagorean identity. So this will become 2 sine u, and Pythagorean for cosine is 1 minus sine. So 1 minus sine square u. Plus this, I can distribute it. So 1 times sine u is sine u, minus 2 sine squared times sine is cube, 2 sine cube. It's like treat it as x squared. So this is cube. X squared times x is x cubed. And then now this I can distribute here. So what I get is 2 sine u minus 2 sine cube u. And then this is duplicate, the same thing. I use a detail sign. Same duplicate. And now we can combine like terms. So the 2 sine u and the sine u here is like term because like x. So you get 3 sine u. And then the 2 sine cube u and negative 2. So they're all like terms. This is negative 4 sine cube u. So this is the sine, the odd one for sine. 3 sine u minus 4 sine cube u. And there is no formula. Oh, David, if this is 5u, then I can change this to become 3 here, like what we did in the even one? The answer is no. For odd angles, there is no shortcut for it. So if you have 5u, you actually have to do all this again, which is going to be double the length of this, because you're going to do quite a lot of work. And same thing with 7u and 9u. So there is no formula for odd angles. So you actually have to do this. For even, you can use the formula that I just showed it to you on here. You can use it over there. You guys okay here with this? So I want you guys to go home and try to figure out what is cosine 3u in terms of cosine only. And I can give you the answer. The answer is 4 cosine cube u minus 3 cosine u. This is the answer for him. So, but you need to know how to, it's exactly the same proof as what we did here, but I really want you guys to try to figure it out because it's going to come up in the finals. This is for sure coming up in the final. And this is your answer. That means you have to do all this work, but in terms of cosine. So you have to use this formula. Okay, go home and try this. This is your homework. And if you want to get your 5 points in your finals, then you better work this one out, because it's worth 5 points. Okay, so this is what we call as the double angle formula that we're talking about. And then so the power reducing is to reduce your power. And then we have a half angle formula. This half angle formula came from your power reducing formula. So for example is if you have a power reducing, sine square u is, let's say, is 1 minus cosine 2u over 2. I use this one. So in order for us to do the sine u over 2, what did I do in this case is I reduce this by 2. Like, remember last time when we have a even, if I multiply this by 2, I multiply everything here by 2. So if I reduce this by 2, I reduce this angle by 2. So that's why you will get sine squared u over 2 is 1 minus cosine u over 2, because these 2 will cancel out. And then in order for us to get rid of the square, I square root it. So this is how you get the half angle formula. The sine u over 2 is plus minus square of 1 minus cosine u over 2. Same thing with cosine u. I use this fellow. I divide this by 2. And then I divide this by 2. And then I take the square root. I will get this one. And then tangent u over 2 is, again, you can divide these 2 up. This is the formula. Again, tangent u over 2, you got two choices. We use this mostly, the one I draw in box. The reason why we use this mostly is because you only get a single monomial term in your denominator. This is mostly what we will use mostly. Okay. This is something I want to point out with this half angle formula is this sine u over 2 and cosine u over 2, the plus minus sign that you see here, it depends on what quadrant u over 2 lies. So this is something I need to explain to you guys, and this is very, very important. Okay. So remember last time I give you that triangle that we have in quadrant 4, like cosine v is like something like 15 over 17, something like that. And then this is in quadrant 4, something like, we just draw the triangle like this. This is v, and then we draw this is 15, and then this is 17. No, not 15, 8, negative 8. Something like that, right? Remember that one? 15, 17, and then this is a negative 8. Something like that. So when you guys want to find this sine v over 2, this is actually the square root of 1 minus cosine v over 2, plus minus. Now, the cosine v over 2 is not a problem because we already know this is 15 over 17. The problem here is this fellow. Should we take plus or should we take minus? So what you need to do here is you have to figure out what's going on with this plus minus. So this quadrant 4 is between 270 degrees, I'm using degrees, and 360 degrees. So in order for us to figure out what quadrant is this belongs to, and I can tell you that it's not in quadrant 4 because quadrant 4 is for V. So when you divide this by 2, then you will get V over 2. And now we can figure out what quadrant is this belongs to. This is 180, and this is 135 degrees. What is 135 and 180? What quadrant is that belongs to? Anyone?
2.
Quadrant 2. And quadrant 2, sign is positive or negative?
Positive.
Positive. So that's why when you see the plus minus, you will take the plus sign here. The reason why is because when you divide this by 2, it is in quadrant 2, and that's why you take plus. And if I say this is a quadrant 3, then you have to take the minus sign. So this is the one that I point out to you here with this formula, half angle, is if you want to find the sine u over 2 and cosine u over 2, it depends on which quadrant of the u over 2 lies. So not depends on this one. A lot of students think, oh, it's quadrant 4. Quadrant 4 for sine is negative. But once you divide by 2, it becomes positive because quadrant 2 is positive for sine. You with me here? Questions? And the last two formulas that we use is called product to sum and sum to product formulas. What is this? Is product means multiply. So you change from multiply to addition, subtraction. And then this one, you change from addition, subtraction to multiply. So if you have any questions like this is addition, subtraction, right? You can actually use the sum and product to change it back to multiplication. You with me here? So like this one, cosine 2x minus cosine x, this is exactly this formula. So you can use the last formula here to do it. I didn't use the last formula. You can. If you use the last formula, it's even quicker. See, like question 1, I showed to you. Like question 1 here. This is the long way to do it. Okay. But if I use this sum to product, so this will become -2 sine. U in this case is your 2x. So 2x plus x, which is 3x over 2. And then sine. And then you take u minus v, which is 2x minus x, which is x over 2. And you make this equals to 0. So what you do in this case is, this is already in the product form. So you just need to set this equals to 0, which you cannot solve for x because there's no x here. You just need to make this equals to 0 and make this equals to 0. So what is sine 3x equals to 0? So I move the sign over. So this is arcsine of 0. Anyone know what is arcsine of 0 is? Arcsine of 0 is 0 and pi. So what you do here is solve for x. This will give me 0 because you multiply 2/3 on this. So you get 0 and you get 2 pi over 3. And then you do the same thing for this one. Sine x over 2 equals to 0. And again, x over 2 is arcsine of 0, which is 0 and pi. This is the same thing. And now I multiply everything here by 2. So x in this case is 0 and 2 pi. Again, we cannot take 2 pi because your domain doesn't include 2 pi. And we do not need to include 0 because 0 is here. So your answer in this case is 0 and 2 pi over 3. Oh, we got 4 pi over 3 here. We should have one more. Oh yeah, because you do this, you have to include, you have to include 0, pi, 2 pi, and 4 pi, because this one has a multiple angles. So when you do 2 pi times 2/3, this is 4 pi over 3. And then when you take 4 pi over times 2, you will get 8 pi over 3. But 8 pi over 3 is already more than 2 pi. So that's why you have these 3 answers, because of the multiple angles. So you will get the same answer as what we did using the sum to product for this question. But again, there are so many choices when you do this. As long as your answer is correct, you will get it right. You guys with me here? And I just want to point out to you guys, yeah, this is very tough. When you do your 7.5 homework, it's also will tell you what formula to use. So for example, is solving the equations, they won't tell you what formula to use. But like, see, they will ask you to use the double angle formula to do this. Use the power reducing formula to do this. Use a half angle formula to do this. So that's why when you do my homework, they will tell you what formula to use. However, in the test, I will not tell you use this formula to do that. No, I will just say write this expression in terms of cosine. I won't tell you what formula to use. So when you do your homework, they will tell you what formulas to pick, and then you just use that formula that that is call you to use. But in your finals, I won't tell you what formula to use. This one uses product to sum to product. They will ask you, they will tell you. So in the test, I won't tell you what formula. I just rewrite this product as sum or difference, or rewrite this product as this sum as a product. So I won't tell you which formula to use. So make sure you guys know that practice will be something that I will want you to do. So make sure you understand this section 7.5. Okay, and this is the most difficult section because it has a lot of things going on, because it has so many formulas here. Okay, and then 8.1 and 8.2 is something easy, which is law of sine and law of cosine. So I would concentrate more. If you get frustrated during 7.5 homework, say, you know what, this is very difficult, I want to move, do 8.1 and 8.2 first because they are a bit easier. Then you can come back to 7.5 because 7.5 is a little bit more difficult compared to 8.1 and 8.2. I will put more videos on YouTube links and all the Khan Academy for this 7.5, 8.1, 8.2. So please do watch it. And if you have any questions, please let me know, because we can set up one-on-one Zoom. I'm still waiting for you guys to set up one-on-one Zoom with me, and we'll go over some questions in the homework. And I just want to tell you that you are almost done. So once we finish chapter 7 here, this is 7.5 is the end. Then we start 8 and then 11. That's it. I think you only have like around like 9 more homework left. Yeah, I think you have 9 more homework left. And it's not a lot of homework left for you guys. So yep, this is it. 11.3 is the last one. So if you did, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 9 homework left. So so this is till, so we did 7 and then 8 and then 11. That's it. We skip 9 and 10. So this is all. And once you finish 11.3, that will be your finals. Again, your finals will consist of chapter 6, chapter 7, chapter 8, and then chapter 11. So it's not a lot of chapter sections left, but these are all very difficult. And you can also notice that you will get more homeworks left now. So you have to start to do a bit more homework, because every week now, instead of 2, it's going to be 3. I might move this to 2 back, and then you have to do another homework on the last week of December. So so this week you need to burn out some midnight oil here because you have 3 homework due on this coming week, which is 7, 5, 8, 1, and 8, 2. And then 8, 3, 8, 4 on the following week, 8, 5, 11, 1 on the next stand. So the next one is all 2. Only this week, you got 3 homeworks to do. So make sure you crank it up and do this 3 homework, and then I will slowly go this 2 for 2. I will move them around. Okay. Anyone have any questions for me? I'm gonna stop recording and stop sharing here.